In 2018, Deandre Ayton was the #1 pick in the draft, and a lot of people had high expectations for this man. And if we look 4 years later, while he hasn't performed like a #1 pick, I don't want to say he hasn't had a good NBA career so far. And I think when we think of the top centers in the NBA, you really don't hear Deandre Ayton's name being brought up a lot. Deandre Ayton has been one of my favorite centers to watch because I just love the way he plays his game, and he doesn't play like most centers in today's league. And if you ask me, he's one of the better post players in the NBA, maybe being a top 3 post player. While having all the defensive abilities as a defensive center and not being a liability in certain situations like Rudy Gobert, it amazes me that we don't give Deandre Ayton the title of the perfect NBA center. In today's video, I want to break down some film, I want to look at some stats, and most importantly, I want to show you guys why he's the perfect NBA center, and you need to start paying attention to this man. Because mind you, he's only 24, and I feel like his ceiling is so high, and he's only 3 years away from his prime. Before we get into today's video, let's hear a quick word from today's sponsor, Manscaped. Today's video is brought to you by Manscaped.com, the #1 brand for men's grooming and hygiene products. One of the most important things when it comes to men's health is grooming your downstairs area, which a lot of men really don't take that serious. With 90% of my viewers being men, I think I should help you guys out by recommending you to Manscaped and their Performance Package 4.0, which comes with a variety of products that are going to help out your grooming experience along with some extra gifts. First off, the Lawnmower 4.0, easily my favorite product by Manscaped. It is waterproof, it is skin safe, and most importantly, it has an LED light. You also get their crop preserver and ball toner. On top of that, you do get a mat. Now, something new that Manscaped just released is their brand new boxers, the Manscaped Boxers 2.0. They're a lot more breathable, they have a lot more designs, and they are more supportive. They also come in this sweet little jewel pouch. I've been using Manscaped for the longest time, and I have nothing but good things to say about this company and the products they've provided me. If you want to try Manscaped today, make sure you go to manscaped.com with the link in the description below and use code Spex for 20% off and international free shipping. Guys, that's code Spex for 20% off and international free shipping. Thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Something that I think has been interesting with the newer day NBA is that more centers are not exactly being utilized in the paint as much as they should be. To be honest, you have a lot of centers that aren't even really centers. They play more the power forward and sometimes even small forward position. But if they have the height, then they're gonna run the center, but they're not gonna really do things that most centers used to do. But obviously, if you can't tell, Deandre Ayton does have the body of a center, being 6'11" and weighing about 250. Deandre is able to use his stature in a positive way on offense, and I do want to mention that I think Deandre Ayton has one of the best bags in the NBA when it comes to centers. I will say his only bad thing on offense that he's not that good at is shooting, but I'm mainly talking about the three-pointer. But then again, when most of Phoenix's players can shoot the three, I don't think it's very necessary for Deandre Ayton to try to force threes when he's not that good of a three-point shooter, but inside in the mid-range, he's absolutely dominating. He has 2 main shots on offense, and the first one is this amazing hook shot that he has that he really doesn't miss. If we look at this defensive setup the Warriors have, you can clearly tell they're running mostly a small ball lineup. And when you have a guy like Deandre Ayton who's not only going to score inside, but he's going to create his own shots, it's not exactly smart to run that. We can see Mikal Bridges here getting the ball to Deandre Ayton because he sees the mismatch on Nimble Joku. You see him trying to defend this shot, however Deandre knows he has him where he wants. He does the spin and he does a hook that is so high arcing you can't block it. It is very hard to stop this shot, and there are many examples of this, which is why when the game is close, I think the Suns try to get it to Deandre Ayton in the low post so he can do that hook shot. Booker is going to get a little stuck on this play and get a double team, so he gives it to Jay Crowder, and Jay Crowder is going to look for DA and he's going to find him in the low post. If we stop the play right here, we see OG Anunoby, and we have who I think is Matt Flynn who's going to try to come for DA. None of those guys are even close to having enough size to stop Deandre Ayton, and even if they did, the shot is so high arcing it's impossible to guard. So he'll do that spin thing where he turns around and does the hook shot, and even though they jump for it, they still can't contest it. Having a go-to money shot is very important for these players, and I think Deandre Ayton has really perfected the hook shot, and honestly there's not that many people that can guard it. If we look at his mid-range jumper, he shoots it in a certain way that not a whole lot of centers can do it like. Deandre does not only have a mid-range jumper that is very much effective and consistent, but he gets it off pretty quick. Cam Payne is going to see DA low on this play right here, and while it's more of a post fadeaway than a mid-range, I think you know what I'm trying to say. Deandre gets it off so fast that Jonas Valanciunas can barely contest the shot, and by the time he puts his hand up, the shot's already going to go in. Once again, we see Maxi Kleber guarding him, he catches it, and he's going to do the quick little turnaround and shoot, but again, again, Maxi Kleber cannot contest it in time, and by the time he does, the shot is already going to go in. It's Deandre Ayton being able to perfect these shots at a certain point and be very consistent with them when you know most of the time he's going to make it. He's perfected those two shots that every time I watch him, I'm almost certain that the shot is going to go in. Even sometimes when people do put a good contest on the shot, really no one is stopping Deandre in his hook, and especially his turnaround mid-range. And while I'm sure there are clips out there of him just doing catch and shoot mid-ranges, obviously we know he can make that, and I can't really break down the film of that. It's just a catch and shoot jumper, but just know that he's good at a lot of mid-range shots. Now honestly, when I look at a center, I think the most important aspect is their defense, and don't get it twisted, Deandre is a menace on defense, at least at times, which is honestly the only flaw I see with him, but it is something that I know he's gonna work on, especially when he develops as a player. Deandre is a very good shot blocker, and when it comes to contesting shots, he's very good at it, but he has only two small flaws, and those are boxing out and being a little bit more aggressive, which I guess still does tie into number one, so either way they do intertwine with each other, and I think a lot of people who watch the Suns can agree with me on this. While Deandre Ayton is a double-double machine and he gets a lot of rebounds, I'm sorry, I think he could be a lot more aggressive than he is. I've seen countless plays where he just gives up rebounds and he doesn't really fight for them like I know he can, because when Deandre wants to be aggressive, he's gonna get aggressive. I think a lot of people know Deandre has this ability in him, but for some reason he just won't unlock that potential. And after this offseason, he got a very big bag from the Phoenix Suns, and you know what? I think because of that bag and with the way this team could definitely compete, he's gonna be more aggressive. Now, something that I think is very crazy is that he doesn't get the touches that I really think he should. If Deandre gets the ball a lot more than he does, even 5 more possessions a game, I think this guy will be an all-star. He's a very good center, and honestly, I would put him top 5. I think the problem why people don't rank him as high is because they're more focused on watching Chris Paul and Devin Booker and even Mikal Bridges. There are times when Deandre Ayton becomes the 4th or 5th option, but I will say he's Mr. Reliable. And I think Phoenix needs to look at that and they need to be like, okay, we need to get this guy the ball a lot more, because when he has the ball, he does very good things. I think if we're looking at a center and you were creating one, I think the perfect NBA center would be Deandre Ayton. Obviously, you could say, oh, let's add a 3-point jumper, but at this point, you're just playing 2K trying to add every single thing. And while obviously adding a 3-point jumper would definitely help, I don't think he necessarily needs one. But I will say, I've seen at times where Deandre Ayton is actually not a terrible shooter from 3, and it seems like he's developed a little bit as the seasons have gone on. But don't get it twisted, I don't see Deandre taking a lot more 3s than he already has, because, well, he simply doesn't need to. And I mean, just looking by the stats, you can tell that most of his shots are either inside the paint or right by the mid-range. If you want to see a video where I show every time Devin Booker proved the NBA media wrong, click the screen right here. Anyways, with that being said, cue the outro.